Lewis Hamilton says he'd like to try NASCAR at some point. And Jeb Burton joins the show to talk about his big Talladega win. How's it going, y'all? My name is Eric. Welcome to Out of the Groove. Happy Friday. In just a few moments, NASCAR Xfinity Series driver Jeb Burton will join the show. Just a couple weeks ago, he won his second career race at Talladega. It was the first win for my boy Jordan Anderson as a team owner. Really appreciate State Water Heaters for helping get this interview set up. We'll bring Jeb in just a few moments. But first, we've got to talk about a massive headline that made the rounds last night. The stars and cars of Formula One are stateside this week in advance of the Miami Grand Prix this weekend. So of course, many of the drivers are doing American-y things, like Pierre Gasly, Esteban Ocon were at RFK Racing earlier in the week. And they're being asked American-y questions like, would you consider racing in America's biggest motorsport? Seven-time Formula One world champion Lewis Hamilton had a very interesting response to that kind of question. He said, quote, "I'd love to try it at some stage. It's not a dream for me to go race another series, but I am an admirer. I'm a fan of racing and other sports, so I would like to try it." Oh, you officially have my attention. Perhaps the most famous active race car driver in the world saying he'd like to try NASCAR. Of course, most fans know this isn't the first time that Lewis Hamilton and NASCAR's paths have crossed. Go back to 2011, Hamilton and Tony Stewart did a ride swap at Watkins Glen. Lewis Hamilton got the chance to drive one of those big, bulky, boxy car of tomorrows. But at the time, it seemed like he enjoyed the experience. He had good things to say afterwards. So how about it? Lewis Hamilton to NASCAR. He'd be following in the recent footsteps of Kimi Räikkönen, who's made 2 Cup Series starts in the past 2 seasons. Jenson Button made his Cup Series debut a few weeks ago and has, I believe, 2 other Cup races scheduled this season. Räikkönen, Button, both have won F1 championships, but Lewis is a 7-time champ. He would fit in nicely alongside Jimmy, Petty, Dale Earnhardt. I know I sound excited, but let's pump the brakes for just a moment. To be fair, Lewis Hamilton did do the proper PR thing. He answered directly about NASCAR, but he also brought up other sports. Oh, I'd like to try all sorts of racing. Hamilton said, quote, "I'd love to swap with Valentino Rossi and try MotoGP. I sometimes watch IndyCar and would love to try one of those at some stage. But right now, my focus is solely on Formula One, and I don't plan on leaving anytime soon." So covering his bases there, he knew that first NASCAR comment was going to draw a ton of headlines. So there he is trying to, again, smoke screen a little. I'm a race car driver. I can't pick just one favorite child. It's all great. I have to be realistic. The odds of Lewis Hamilton coming over and making a NASCAR start or two anytime in the near future, I believe are pretty slim. But there are 38 Cup weekends a year. How many F1 weekends are there? Like 20 something? I know those drivers are busy, but a one-off? Maybe before the F1 season truly starts? I'm not going to say it's impossible. Lewis Hamilton said right there, he'd like to try it. So let's speculate for a moment. If Hamilton did come to NASCAR for a one-off, where should he race and with what team? Everyone's saying road courses like Watkins Glen, where he did that seat swap with Tony Stewart. Coda, because it's also a Formula One track. But honestly, if you want my opinion, Daytona 500. I'll keep it simple. We're talking about arguably the greatest Formula One driver in the world's history. Someone who is still active, still very relevant today. Remember, I'm a neutral fan who roots for storylines. Lewis Hamilton competing in the Daytona 500, NASCAR's biggest race, would be a massive story that would reach all ends of the earth. No disrespect, but it would dwarf anything that Kimi and Jenson Button have done so far. And the thing about Daytona is that Lewis Hamilton could legitimately win. It's Daytona. He'd have several days of practice between actual sessions, qualifying, the duels. He'd be lucky to get one practice session at any other track. The draft at Daytona is the great equalizer. Travis Pastrana, just this past February, he'd never touched a Cup Series car, gets behind the wheel for the first time and was running top 10 on the final lap. I want to see Lewis Hamilton race somewhere he could win. And I know Formula One fans who may be watching this video, no, Lewis Hamilton would not win on a road course in NASCAR. Not as a one-off, at least, no. But Daytona? The 500? He wouldn't be the favorite, but Lewis Hamilton could legitimately win. So I'll keep it simple. Daytona 500. That's where I want to see Lewis Hamilton compete. As for what team, everyone's talking about Justin Marks, Trackhouse Project 91. I mean, this is what that seat, according to Justin Marks at least, was built for. Drivers exactly like Lewis Hamilton. So that does make a ton of sense. It would be a competitive seat, but perhaps the allure of someone like Michael Jordan could draw Lewis Hamilton to 2311. He could drive the very 67 car that Travis Pastrana just raced. I could see either choice. I think those would be the two front runners. I don't want to see Lewis Hamilton, no disrespect, in a Rick Ware car. I don't think he would take that deal. I think he's Lewis Hamilton. He could almost pick and choose what team he wanted to race for within NASCAR's 4-team rule. But that's my take. Lewis Hamilton says he'd love to try NASCAR. Let's get him a Daytona 500 seat, if at all possible. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below, but I've kept y'all waiting long enough. Jeb Burton won his second career Xfinity race just a couple weeks ago at Talladega. It was a wild race, but Jeb was out front and ahead of most of the chaos. Let's bring Jeb Burton in to the show right here, right now. I am now joined by Jeb Burton, a winner at Talladega a few weeks ago. We're going to talk lots about that. Jeb, first off, thanks for being on. Great to have you on the show.
Yeah, man. Thank you for having me.
I'm sure you've talked about this a lot, or you've done this a lot the past couple of weeks, but first question I want to ask, take us back to those final laps at Talladega. What's going through your mind once you've gotten the lead, I guess, and then you're kind of trying to stay in front of the field, block both lanes? What's going through your mind, though, there during that final overtime restart?
Just, I lost a race there in the 8 car, led the white flag lap and didn't put on a block that I needed to put on, and losing that race taught me how to win a couple. And I'll never forget that. And me and my spotter, Herm, I call him Herm, but Mike Herman, worked really well together. And I was in my mirror the whole time and just watching out more the rear glass than the front with my side mirror and my rear view. So it was really cool to have that good of a race car too. Everybody at Jordan Anderson Racing, the 31 and the 27, put their heads together and brought 2 really fast race cars. And we didn't luck into that deal. I felt like we kind of dominated the race. We should have won the first stage, and we won the second stage and won the race. So just really proud of them bringing a race car like that to the track.
Yeah, y'all were ahead of most of the chaos and carnage. That's the way to do it at Talladega these days. It is your second career win, and you've won at Talladega now twice. So, yeah, I've heard there's nothing quite like the first. But your first win came under very unique circumstances back in 2021. So I have to ask, how does this one compare to the first win?
I say this one was just as big or bigger. When I was at other race team, they were more established and had a lot more resources than what we have. And to win, we're kind of like an underdog team to win, and then to win in my own number, 27 number means a lot to me and my family. And to do it at Talladega in dominant fashion was really, really cool, man. I've been so close to winning some speedway races. I finished 4th like 3 times at Daytona and always been right there at Talladega. I got the speedway thing figured out. So want to get some more wins for sure. We go to Atlanta and back to Daytona. I feel like those are 2 that we can try to win this year. And then maybe some road course races. But our mile and a half and short track stuff is coming along. We're working really hard. We're actually working on a lot of stuff today, and we raced Darlington here coming up. So we're always working, trying to get better, and we're working on stuff for the playoffs right now.
That's awesome. You mentioned you're in your first season with Jordan Anderson Racing. This was Jordan Anderson's first win as an owner. He's kind of been a friend of the channel for a long time. So what was it like to get him his first win?
Oh, it's big. I think Jordan and I have a lot of respect for each other just because, he's had to cut his teeth and grind just like I have. And he hasn't really been handed really anything. And, I think him and I just have a good respect for each other. And John Bomberito as well. We couldn't do it without him. And it's just it's a good group I've got. The crew chief and I, Shane Whitback, get along really well. The whole team. They really believe in me, man. It's really refreshing. I've been to a lot of different race teams, and a lot of times they're trying to tell me how to drive the car and do things, and I can always be better. But these guys 110% believe in my ability and what the feedback that I'm given, and they're building race cars around my feedback and trying to make
Yeah.
me better and make our cars better. And I feel like I have a home that is kind of being built around my team is building things around me, and I've never had that really before. It's been, oh well, this guy runs this. This is what we're gonna run. This isn't the way it is in my situation. We're growing together, and they're giving me what I need to. If you look at our performance, we're getting better and better.
That's great. Yeah. Well, that kind of was going to be my next question was how does this team compare to previous stops? But I guess I'll change it a little to like what were those initial talks like with Jordan Anderson and with this team during the offseason, I presume, like when you first were discussing joining the team, you brought the number 27 over, what initially drew you to this race team?
I knew that what I was doing wasn't going to work. Our partners wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. I want to be in a situation to perform. And, I made that very clear to Jordan and John. And, I couldn't go somewhere that I didn't think I could win. And they told me about some of the things that they were doing and the people that they had. And I felt like this was the best opportunity that I had available with the funding that I had, and to be able to race full time and try to grow something. And dang if we didn't do it. So it was really big to, like I said, I mean, I think it was it's still kind of surreal in a way because, our team, you know, we're not really supposed to win right now. We don't have a full alliance with anybody. So we're kind of at a disadvantage with a lot of that stuff. We don't have all the resources those big teams have, and we're outrunning a lot of them. I mean, we're 13th right now in owners points, 10 points from the cutoff. The win doesn't lock you into the owners points, but my point of bringing that up is even if we didn't win that race, we were right on the cuffs of making the playoffs, outrunning some really big teams. So we're doing a really good job, and just really proud of that effort that everyone of the 31 and 27 are putting together to do that. So imagine if we could have a little bit more resources, what we could do together.
Yeah, no, but like you said, what y'all have accomplished, the speed y'all have shown this year already, just on your own, has been very, very impressive. I guess my last question, Jeb, looking forward, provisionally, at least tentatively, you as a driver are in the Xfinity Series playoffs, so that has to be pretty cool. But how do you approach these next few months? I know you mentioned trying to improve the intermediate short track stuff, but how do you get ready for, I guess, like September at this point?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're doing a lot of things to prepare for those racetracks that are in the playoffs. I think it's Vegas, Texas, and Charlotte are the first three. I feel like if we don't have any DNFs, and knock on wood, we've been doing a really good job of racing smart and not putting ourselves in bad situations, that we can make it through the first round.
Yeah.
I feel like, and I think by then our speed will be pretty decent as well. So we just need to keep building, man, and keep trying to perform and get better and make our cars better. And like last weekend, I didn't do a very good job inside the race car with my adjustments. I drove a really good race, but my adjustments hurt our result and hurt the performance of the race car. So we've been doing a really good job of that all year. This Saturday, I didn't do the best of it, the last 80 laps of the race. So that was kind of disheartening. But the good thing is we brought a car home clean is what I'm getting to, where they can make that car better. So that's some of the stuff for our small team. We don't need to be hitting anything so we can make our cars better.
That's great, though. Small team making gains, outrunning some of the bigger teams. I think y'all are ahead of schedule at this point, Jeb. It's been awesome to see, and it's been awesome to have you on the show once again. Jeb Burton, thanks for being on, and good luck the rest of this season.
Thanks, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you again to Jeb Burton and to State Water Heaters. I know longtime supporters, longtime sponsors of Jeb Burton. They've really done a lot for his racing career. Appreciate them helping set that interview up. State Water Heaters. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave it a like. If you're new to the channel and you love NASCAR, you want to stay in the loop on all things stock car racing, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below. And thank you, as always, to my Patreon supporters for your very generous support. The second video in my Moonshine and Motorsports Trail series will drop tomorrow. If you missed the first one, I visited the NASCAR Hall of Fame, got an exclusive tour from the one and only Winston Kelly. Be sure to check that out. I will see you again later this weekend. Have a wonderful rest of your Friday, folks.